they can use to improve themselves. So that's the purpose of this slide. It's easy to focus on the meeting started on time, ended on time. It's easy to focus on the speaker met their purpose, the evaluators gave a sandwich evaluation, the table topics were very innovative. All of that is on the surface. But below that, there's a whole bunch of things that you can look for. And you should. And you should use your GE report to give that evaluation, right? Unbelievable. Okay, and move on. So let's first focus on what is above the surface because it is important. Ensure the evaluators know their tasks and responsibilities. You lead the team of evaluators. You have to ensure that each of them gets the right manuals, that you pair up the right speaker with the right evaluator. CC1 speaker you give to the CC1 kind of evaluator, and advanced speeches you give to the advanced evaluator. That is important. Explain the purpose and benefits of evaluations to the group. And the third point, I have kind of highlighted this one because it, to me, is very important, and it's kind of not happening in the clubs that at least I'm working with. Identify and confirm meeting assignments with the evaluator, timer, grammarian, and R-counter. Right? In how many clubs are there here where the VP education does this, appoints the timer, R-counter, grammarian, and evaluator? Okay, I've got some flash news for you. As per the CL manual, the general evaluator is supposed to appoint these people. Right? By the book, if you go, the VP head's task is to have a roster of schedule or a roster of role players that are there, maintain it until the end of the first meeting. So meeting number 200 is there. Once meeting number 200 is done, when meeting number 201 starts, the role of the VP head is to give that roster of players who have confirmed for 201 to the TMOD and to the GE, and it is the role of the GE to run with it. It's the role of the TMOD to run with the speakers, and the role of the general evaluator to appoint the timer, R-counter, grammarian, and evaluation. If you do it by the CL manual, it is your job. If the VP head does all your job, he or she gets all the leadership experience. Then why are you paying your renewal, right? So you're paying for your VP head's leadership training. That's what's happening, right? So from now on, I insist that you as general evaluator take on the role of appointing the timer, R-counter, grammarian, as well as the evaluators. If there are any issues, you don't know whether someone is senior, junior to evaluate a particular given speech, you can ask the VP education. The same way, I'm sure it will be covered in the TMOD session, is the Toastmaster of the day's role to go out and appoint, look for role players and deal with last minute changes, not the VP educations. Okay? Confirm club meeting program and or checklist with the Toastmaster, interlock with the Toastmaster of the day. During the meeting, take notes, report on all club proceedings to evaluate things such as timelines, enthusiasm, preparation, organization, performance, and duties. This is the major part I'm going to be focusing on. All of this is there in the CL manual. Okay? I'm sure none of you came here on a Sunday morning to revise time management or how to give evaluation as a GE. It's all there in your CL manual. Pick it up, read it. Or it's in the website. By the way, I've taken it from the Toastmasters website. I didn't go anywhere. So this is all general knowledge. Use your CL manual. I'm going to be spending most of my time talking about this point because it's easy to be on the surface. It's easy to give a very, respectful, cliched general evaluation. The meeting starts on time, ends on time. Everybody says this. The meeting room was set up very well. Great. But is someone going to die if the meeting room is not set up well? No. Nobody comes to a Toastmasters meeting to see the meeting room being set up well. Or to, yes, of course, starting a meeting and ending a meeting on time is important. None of us have all the time in the world. But it's not the only thing that goes on. Yes, innovative table topics are important, but that's only at the surface. There are more important things you can look for in a table topic session. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. As I said, these are all kind of above the surface GE report, there are multiple checklists available on the internet. I have embedded one. Let me see if I can open it. That's okay. So, punctuality is important. Not only start and end time, right? As a general evaluator, you could also look for the presiding officer, whether he or she is sticking to the time. There are a lot of MCs who like to speak a lot. No, Anish is doing great. But nothing shoots up my blood pressure like someone who hogs the limelight or takes all the time that he or she is allocated or shoots more. You can point that out. It's not only the speaker or the evaluator or the main topic speaker, even the Toastmaster of the day, the presiding officer, whoever is there. Role players played the role as per expectations. Yes, that's also important. Did they give the speech as it is meant to be? Did the evaluators evaluate as per the manual? Meeting room setup is important. Was enthusiasm is important. How the guests are treated, guest introduction is important. Were they asked to introduce themselves before the meeting starts? That's important. How many last minute changes are there? How are they dealt with?
Last minute changes.
Yeah. So how many last minute changes are there in a meeting? So 3 role players backed out. Pointed out. There were 3 changes today, and 2 of them gave advance notice. 1 of them did not even inform us. One person called up and told us 5 minutes before. That's not on. Tell that to your GE, let people know. Because we expect and demand that our members inform us before. Right? Anything you guys can think of. Let's have an open session. I'm sure some of you know more than me.
But the last minute change, those who didn't turn up in the last minute, how they will be notified? Only those who are present.
Yeah. Only those who are present will at least know that this is caused an impact. And from the next meeting onwards, they should not do it, or they should inform column.
So you can give a critical feedback?
Yeah, you don't have to name people. 3 of them backed out at the last minute. Anything else?
Most of the time what we face in our club is either the teamwork or any other role player takes a lot of time. So we give them feedback off the stage, still we are facing that issue.
Then I'm timer, I just ring the bell. If you have a bell, I know it is a problem, but at least the 50 people who are here, if you can go out and give general evaluations, at least let's see if some people change. What can you do to sorry? Sure. Anything else? Any other GE report? What do you look for in a club? Right. So what she's saying is, after the speech evaluator is done, as general evaluator, you can add to the evaluation, but to me it has to be positive points. Because if you point out things that the speech evaluator missed, then they might feel. I will come to the evaluation. Then I have a lot to speak about evaluation in the next slide, below the surface. The 3 or 4 types of evaluators that we have and how we can kind of use the GE report to try and give feedback to them. Anything else? No, let's have more participation. What do you look for as a GE?
Do we have any time restrictions for being stipulated time,
there is no stipulated time. Every club every meeting has an agenda. As long as they're sticking to the agenda, it should be fine. But some people, they know there are 6 speakers. They know there are going to be 6 evaluators, and still they talk and talk and talk. You have to kind of customize to the situation. You have to improvise to the situation. That's what time management means as a team or as a G. When you have a lot of time, you can talk. When you don't have the time, don't talk. Shorten it and move on.
Can the G be critical about speech evaluators?
Yes, and I'm going to talk about that. It has to be done, of course, in the Toastmaster spirit. Everybody needs evaluation, and I have done that. I have no compunctions in giving feedback to the evaluators. We'll talk about that. That's in fact the first point that I'm going to talk about. Evaluator feedback, right? You can give feedback to the speech evaluator. And I'll tell you 2 or 3 mistakes that are typical evaluator does. Any thoughts? Any evaluators who you've seen have put in through, who have a lot of opportunities for improvement? Any generic, you don't have to name people, of course, but any mistakes that they typically make?
Not following the sandwich technique.
Not following the sandwich technique.
Over exaggeration.
Whitewashing. And you spoke like Obama, when in fact the person has spoken like Trump.
Exactly.
Right?
Sometimes they don't get critical feedback, so they go the next level CC project FNP.
People who, for a CC2 speech, they go out and give CC5 objectives. Absolutely, well done. That's a good point. For a given speech, if it's a CC2, you evaluate them only with CC2. For CC3, you evaluate them with CC3 and CC2. It's a cumulative process, right? So by the time you do CC10, you should have met all the speech objectives of CC1 to 10.
One more thing I have noticed is that, say for example, if the speaker is giving CC5 and the objective of CC5 is to meet the grammar needs. The evaluator would say that you've done this, done that, and there are a few points of improvement, but specifically they would have missed the grammar part. If you go and ask them, they'll say that we'll give it as an offline feedback. But people who are seeing that, they would feel like, okay, even if I give this kind of a speech, I'll be able to spread through CC5. So that kind of an impression is what people get.
Speech objectives. Stick to the speech objectives. Yeah. True. Anything else?
Unnecessary acronyms.
Biryani. That's one that comes to mind.
And like what you said, most of the time sometimes our founder as well as the union has taken more time to tell the feedback. So others are getting affected.
Anything else? Speech evaluations.
Being too critical for a CC1 speech.
Too critical.
For the CC1 speech.
What can you say for a CC1? Keep it mild. That's the first speech she is giving. Right? Why do you want to show all your experience? Keep it mild. More than 2 minutes time. Again, we come back to the same problem. I hope all of you go back and become the sticklers to time. Preparation. Prepare. Correct. Have you seen this type of evaluator? The copy and paster. You spoke about a speech about Taj Mahal, and the evaluator comes and says, you spoke about Taj Mahal, you said it was white, you said it was built by Shah Jahan, you said there are 4 minarets around it, you said it was in Agra. By the way, good speech, bye. Someone who comes in, have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah? So, that's not, your job is not to evaluate the content. Your job is to evaluate the logic, the structure, the body language, voice modulation, whatever is in the manual. Nobody wants to know your opinion, right? And a kind of a supplement to that is the kind of guy who comes and gives his own opinion. You spoke about Taj Mahal, and you quoted Rabindranath Tagore, but I feel you should have quoted Gandhiji. Because when I was studying in 1967 in school, and it's a 1 to 2 minute speech about his experience. You're not adding any value to the speaker. Have you seen such people, or am I the only one who sees? Right? So personal opinion on the content has got nothing to do with it. If I want to listen to a speaker, I would listen to that speaker. I wouldn't listen to the evaluation of that speaker, right? It's not about the content. Content is from the speaker. Your job is to evaluate the logic, the reasoning, the structure, voice modulation, whatever is there in the manual, not the content. Someone who is excessively negative, you can call out. So you have to do it in a subtle way. Don't name people. Don't say that Arvind gave an evaluation like this, but I felt he could have done it better. Give it in a very respectful way. In a typical Toastmaster setting, this is not done like this. You're not adding value to the speaker. If you do X, the speaker would have received you in Y. That's how you should give your evaluation of the evaluator, because he or she is also here to learn, right? And you shouldn't have any reservations about giving feedback to the evaluator. It doesn't have to be offline. It has to be in a meeting so that everybody else learns, like any other evaluation. Right? Any other thoughts on evaluators? Different types of evaluators you've seen?
So a few evaluators suggest speakers to redo their projects. What's your take on it?
So he's talking about evaluators who ask speakers to redo their project. There is no such thing as redoing it. It is at the discretion. Even time limit doesn't matter. You could speak for 10 minutes for a 6-minute speech. Nobody can fail you. Okay? It is at your personal discretion. If somebody is doing that, call it out. Tell your VP head not to encourage such people.
Oh, then what is the meaning of disqualified?
It means you don't get to be the best speaker for them.
So suppose a person has not met the objectives of the previous meeting. So ask them to review, or what do we want to do?
You give them feedback, written and public spoken feedback. And it is up to them. If they're there to learn, they will do it again. If they disagree with you, they won't. So it's a self-paced learning program. And the best you can do is tell them your opinion, that's it. Table topic, participant diversity. Okay, again, this is another thing that kind of shoots up my blood pressure. So, in a meeting there are, say, 30-40 people in the room. 25 people are from that particular club. There are 10 guests, right? There are 5 speakers, 5 evaluators, all put together. There are speaking rules for, say, 15 people. There are 5 to 10 members of that particular club who don't have speaking roles, who will not speak that day, right? As table topic master, they should pick on those 5 to 10. Number one priority is for those 5 people. Okay? Because as a Toastmaster, you've joined Toastmasters to speak, not to listen. And someone will come to a meeting and be a quiet participant for 1 meeting, 2 meetings, 3rd meeting. After that, they won't come. People vote with their feet. They won't renew. So, as a general evaluator, it is your job to ensure that all your club members have speaking roles. And you have to instruct the team and the G, you have to sit down and tell the table topic master, call on this guy, call on this lady, because they don't have a speaking role. They've not spoken for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You have to ensure that they speak. The second priority is to the members of that club who play supplementary evaluation roles like timer, hour counter. The third priority is for Toastmasters from other clubs or guests. Right? I know some people like to give guests a chance. There's nothing wrong with that, with encouraging people to join in. But the first focus should be on Toastmasters of that particular club. Right? I've seen this happen. If someone just comes and sits, they'll smile at you, they'll laugh, they'll talk and they'll go. second meeting, third meeting, if they see that they don't have a speaking role, they won't come. Okay? So this is something that is kind of below the surface that you can look for. Any other thoughts on table topic, Master?
Should the topics be in sync with the theme of the day?
Preferably, yes.
When we include, suppose there are more guests, and take example like we have 77 members. Sometimes we try to include all the members, non-speaking members for that day in the table topics. Because of that, sometimes we have to skip the general evaluation report. So table topics goes beyond the specific.
Okay. So his question is, Medley, we have 77 members, say 40 of them turn up.
Yeah, 40.
Speaking role, 15, 20 people. So there are 20 people who will end up having non-speaking roles. Try your best to accommodate those 20, but no guest should speak. Maybe one guest. But those who have not spoken, you have to kind of make a mental note and ensure that they speak. Because if the 2 to 3 meetings, if they go without speaking, they won't come.
Usually, what happens is the table topic master gives topics which are too difficult to speak on. Especially the members who are a little inexperienced, they find difficult to speak on those topics. So, as a general validator, should we point that out?
Yeah, you can. I mean, yeah, you can. There's nothing wrong with it. I've seen it happen. And it's good feedback for the table